What was spoken beneath the Gate of Thorns was never recorded. The parley did not heal Vaelorian. It did not return what the sundering had taken. Instead, the 9 echoes fractured further, their remnants bleeding outward into the hollow realms. Pieces of command, obedience, resolve, and refusal detached from him and took root elsewhere, answering no master and no prayer. From that moment on, Vaelorian followed aftermath rather than prophecy. He walked toward places where endings had stalled, where old orders had failed but not dissolved. In such realms, fragments of the 9 echoes endured, shaped into guardians that remembered only purpose. They would come to be known as elite. He came at dusk, when the sky bled into the hills, and the road shone like a wet blade. His cloak dragged through marsh water, the color of old wine, and each step of his horse sent ripples across ground that could no longer decide whether it was earth or flood. The land sagged under its own weight, slowly drowning itself. Wind pressed at his shoulders, whispering like mouths that had forgotten how to speak. Above the horizon hung the black sun, swollen and lightless, bending shadow and distance alike. It offered no warmth, only gravity. Beneath it, the world forgot how to heal. His face was a map of quiet wars. Scars crossed his mouth where words had ended badly. His eyes carried the weight of someone who had buried more than the soil could remember. This was Vaelorian, though few still knew his name. Fewer still dared to speak it. For names that last too long begin to decay. The forgotten realm opened before him like a wound left unattended. What had once been solid ground had sunk into a wide marsh, fed by underground collapse and slow ruin. Water pooled where structures had failed, rising inch by inch over centuries. Never enough to wash the past away. At its center stood a hall, half sunken, rising from the black water like a rib torn from the earth's chest. The air felt rehearsed here, as if the same ending had tried and failed to occur too many times. He dismounted when he saw them. 5 shapes stood knee-deep in the water, A sixth lingered behind them, thinner, less certain. They were tall and narrow, half-formed, their bodies wavering like reflections disturbed by rain. No faces, no eyes, only the pressure of attention. They were called elite. Not soldiers in life, not spirits in death. They were constructs of command, remnants of intent, shaped into sentinels long ago, meant to enforce endings where none would come naturally. When they failed, they were not released. They were left behind, bound to the flooded ground beneath the black sun. They did not speak. Water stilled around them. The battle was brief and heavy. Steel passed through them, and steel struck true, cutting at whatever held their forms together. Each impact sent cold ripples through the water, as if the marsh itself recoiled. Vaelorian felt the weight press into his thoughts, not hatred, but expectation. They believed he would fail as well. Everyone had. One specter collapsed inward, its shape folding like a reflection, losing its source. Another followed. The sixth hesitated, flickering, uncertain whether it was still required to exist. When it ended, only pale residue drifted across the water's surface, dissolving slowly, like memory losing interest. The hall waited. Inside, water crept across the floor in shallow sheets, seeping through cracks in the stone. Skulls lined the walls in deliberate spirals, arranged not in fury, but in record. Some bore marks of armor, some did not. All had stood here long enough for the water to reach their ankles, then their knees, then their silence. At the far end sat a man without shadow, hunched over a desk built from old coffins raised above the flood. He was writing names that no longer answered. Many pages bore the same word, written again and again. Elite. He told Vaelorian the water was necessary, that it kept things from fully ending or fully escaping. The hesitation needed a place to settle, and the marsh had learned how to hold it. Vaelorian took the book and read a single entry. It was not his name. It was the final command given to the elite. He closed the book and burned it. The fire burned low and heavy, turning ink to smoke that sank instead of rising. Stone cracked. Water surged as the hall's foundations finally failed. Above, the black sun fractured. Not enough to shine, but enough to prove it was not whole. The hull collapsed inward, swallowed by the marsh. The remaining skulls slipped beneath the surface. The water stilled. Vaelorian left as the red glow faded. Behind him, the black sun split a little wider, offering not light, but the promise that light had not been erased. By morning, there was only dark water and a road that no longer wished to be remembered. Vaelorian rode on, carrying the echo of broken commands in his chest. Far away, villages woke with a strange stillness in their bones. Bells rang late. Dogs felt quiet. Somewhere, something that had been waiting finally stopped. Ahead, the road divided without warning. Unsure of its own direction, Vaelorian slowed, feeling choice return. Fragile, but real. He did not choose yet. But behind him, the black sun continued to crack. And for the first time in a long while, the world leaned forward instead of collapsing inward.